It's late, and the house is finally quiet. The kind of quiet that feels too honest. The lights are off except for one small glow from your phone screen, dimmed all the way down. You're not even scrolling anymore. You're just holding it, like it's something to do with your hands. Your body is tired, but your mind keeps pacing, like it forgot how to stop. Maybe earlier today you smiled at the right times. You answered messages. You got through work or school or family stuff like you were supposed to. You said, "I'm fine," so naturally that it almost sounded true. But now, with no one watching, the heaviness shows up again. Not dramatic, not loud, just steady, like a weight you've learned to carry. And the hardest part is, you can't always explain it. You might not even have the words for what hurts. It's not just one thing. It's a collection of moments, stacked quietly over time. A comment that stayed in your chest. A goodbye that didn't feel finished. A betrayal you never fully processed. A version of you that never came back after something happened. Sometimes you wonder if you're being too sensitive. If you should have moved on by now. If other people would have handled it better. You replay it like a scene you didn't ask to watch again, but it keeps starting over anyway. And you don't even want revenge. You don't want anyone to suffer. You just want to understand why it still affects you, like it happened yesterday. You can feel it in small ways. In how your chest tightens when you hear a certain tone of voice. In how you overthink after every conversation. In how you apologize too quickly. In how you stay quiet when you actually want to speak. You don't call it trauma. You don't label it. You just live with it and try to act normal through it. There are nights when you can't sleep because your mind starts listing everything you've lost. Not just people, but safety, trust, confidence, the feeling of being chosen, the feeling of being enough without proving it. And you try to distract yourself, but the silence always wins. It pulls the truth closer, like it's saying, "Now we're going to talk." Maybe what broke you wasn't even one big event. Maybe it was a slow drip of disappointment. A long season of being strong for everyone else. A childhood where you had to grow up too fast. A relationship where you kept shrinking so someone else could stay comfortable. A time when you needed comfort, and instead, you got ignored, or blamed, or laughed at. And it's strange, because you can still function. You still show up. You still do what needs to be done. But inside, something feels bruised. Like you're living with a quiet crack in your spirit that no one can see. And the worst part is how alone it can feel. Because when you try to explain it, people might say, "That was so long ago." So you stop explaining. You learn to keep it to yourself. You learn to act okay. You become good at it. You become so good at it that even you forget sometimes, until the night comes back around. Until you're lying there, staring into the dark, feeling the ache behind your ribs, and realizing you've been holding your breath emotionally for years. But tonight, something is different. Not loud, not magical, just softer. There's a small pause inside you, like your heart is finally sitting down. And in that stillness, you notice how much you've been trying to survive everything alone. You don't fix anything in this moment. You don't solve the past. You simply stop running from it for a second. And in that quiet pause, it almost feels like someone is near. Not in a scary way. Not in a way that demands anything from you. Just a presence that doesn't rush you. a presence that doesn't ask you to perform or explain. It's gentle, like warm light through a cracked door, like the kind of calm you've wanted, but didn't know how to reach. You don't hear a voice out loud, but you sense something steady, something patient, like someone is sitting beside you in the dark, not trying to fix you, just staying. And for the first time in a long time, you don't feel judged for being tired. You don't feel weak for still hurting. You don't feel like you have to clean yourself up before being seen. This is where Jesus begins to feel close, not as a distant figure in a story, not as a lecture, not as pressure, but as someone who understands what it is to be wounded in places people don't notice. Someone who recognizes the hidden fractures, the ones you learn to hide behind jokes, hard work, silence, or strength. The ones that shaped you without your permission. Jesus knows what broke you. Not just the event, but the feeling underneath it. The moment you realized you weren't safe. The moment you felt replaced. The moment you stopped trusting your own heart. The moment you decided you had to be tougher, colder, quieter, smaller. He understands how one painful experience can echo for years, even when life keeps moving. He knows the kind of pain that doesn't leave bruises, the kind that lives in your nervous system, the kind that shows up as overthinking, or numbness, or sudden tears you can't explain. He knows the way you learned to smile while falling apart. He knows the way you became your own emotional caretaker because you didn't feel held by anyone else. And he isn't here to shame you for it. He isn't here to say you should have had more faith or tried harder or healed faster. He isn't counting your failures. He isn't rolling his eyes at your fear. His presence feels like understanding without interrogation, like compassion without conditions, like someone finally seeing the full story behind your silence. Maybe the most healing part is that Jesus doesn't act surprised by you, not by your guarded heart, not by your mood swings, not by your trust issues, not by the parts of you that feel messy. He knows how humans break. He knows how people survive. And he stays close anyway, as if your pain doesn't make you unlovable. It makes you human. So tonight, you don't have to force yourself to be okay. You don't have to pretend it didn't hurt. You don't have to rush into answers. You can simply exist here, in this quiet moment, with the truth of what happened and the reality of how it shaped you. And somehow, in his presence, the truth feels less terrifying. Because when Jesus knows what broke you, it means you don't have to carry the memory alone anymore. It means the part of you that still aches isn't invisible. It means your story isn't dismissed. Your pain isn't minimized. Your heart isn't mocked for being tender. There is a kind of comfort that comes from being fully known and still gently stayed with. And as the night continues, you may still feel the weight of what you've been through. But now there is also something else, something steady beside the weight, a calm that doesn't demand you change instantly, a presence that doesn't leave when you're quiet. Just this simple, lasting sense that you are not abandoned in your broken places. Not tonight, not ever.